All right, I'm here with a super special guest. I'm here with Mattie Weiss, with the Goodwin Group. And
Yes.
Mattie is not just your typical agent, he is a commercial agent. So, first of all, Mattie, thank you for coming in. The other day,
Problem.
we
Thank
had
you.
the pleasure of filming an episode of Financing the American Dream together with
Sure.
Nick and then Tian Kriega from AP3. I really had to pronounce that name a few times. So, Mattie, tell us a few things about how you got started. Tell us why it's important to work with commercial real estate when you're agent, when you're working in commercial real estate as opposed to a residential. Just go ahead and take off, man.
Absolutely. So I've kind of had a very weird journey. So in my early 30s, I was actually an executive in healthcare. One of my responsibilities was finding locations for my business over 49 states. So I kind of had a little bit of experience with that. Then I went on after doing that, and I owned a Primrose preschool, as well as a lot of other commercial properties. So I kind of did that reverse that a lot of commercial agents do, whereas most agents have never actually owned commercial properties. So I actually started off on the buyer side and understanding kind of what a business needs because I was a business.
Yeah.
So kind of from there on is decided to look for a new venture. So I sold my equity in my Primrose and decided to get fully into commercial real estate because that's kind of where my heart was at.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you were using somebody else's dime to learn the commercial real estate base. That's what I heard.
Somewhat. I think that's fair to say. I think when I was my role, kind of an executive in healthcare, definitely was finding locations and
Right.
using their
Right.
resources to fund those locations. However, when I bought my own Primrose, we made sure we bought the property, the building, along with the business with it. So, which was the best experience I could have possibly imagined.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head too. When you're dealing with a lot of commercial real estate agents, I've owned some commercial real estate over. I own this particular commercial property, and looking back, neither one of them owned any commercial real estate. So that's a really good point,
Absolutely,
man.
sure.
So you actually had that experience and could relate to and understood the process. So good for you for jumping on that
Absolutely.
and seeing an opportunity.
Sure, I think a lot of times they just don't know, being a business owner, having to find properties and as well as the best way to kind of look at your pro formas when you're buying a property and seeing what's best for you. It's something that's a little bit lacking, I think, with a lot of agents.
Yeah, so let's talk about, what a lot of people see. They make that mistake of working with a residential real estate agent when they buy commercial property. Why is that such a not a good thing to do?
As I always tell people, commercial is not sexy. There'll never be a Netflix show about it. But it's a little bit more detailed, more so than residential in regards to things like zoning, permitting, what type of usage you can use in those specific areas, and working closely with the city. So I think a lot of people think that when you're kind of have a mind frame of selling residential or buying residential, it's significantly more straightforward than I would say with a commercial deal where you have a lot more different pieces
Right.
to juggle.
All right, now you mentioned zoning. So where we were the other day at AP3, that was an industrial zone location, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so and you mentioned a couple things about what is hot and what's really selling right now. Kind of speak to that and what's going on, because there are some like rumors about, not necessarily rumors, facts about some cracks in the commercial real estate world. So, but you mentioned industrial is a little bit different scenario.
Absolutely. So industrial and multifamily, I would say, are the two hottest segments. They've been very hot for the past year or two, and it's kind of continues on because it's so hard to want to get permission to allow that zoning, where a lot of communities are trying to push industrial type of businesses further away so they can put more residential, which has made them, of course, a little bit more scarce, which then, of course, less supply means higher demand. Higher demand means higher prices. So that's one thing I've definitely seen. But industrial is one of those very safe bets,
Right.
because we all have stuff that needs stored, and we all have cars that need to be fixed and those sorts of things.
Right. So what I was alluding to, and if you're paying attention, I'm sure you are, is office space. Is there's so much vacancy. There's a lot of concern as to what's going to happen. There's talk about that being the sort of the next multi-trillion-dollar real estate crash. We don't have to get into a lot of the details and into the weeds of that, but from a commercial real estate perspective, and I know I'm putting you on the spot
Sure.
here. What would you think would be a great repurpose? Like what is assuming that this property and all that's already been built, it's already
Sure.
there, it's going to have to most likely be repurposed if they aren't filled with office, new companies coming in and filling those offices. What's an idea? Just
I think that's a great point. I think converting those to multifamily, because we do have a shortage still in the area. And I think even when you see with some mortgage prices going up, obviously then it kind of changes how people's behavior is, which drives more multifamily rentals. So I think we're going to see a lot of these office buildings being converted over into either industrial spaces or into actually multifamily homes, apartments.
right. And so, back to the zoning part, I mean, it's not going to be zoned residential. So the city, the counties, the government's going to have to get involved to
Sure.
make something like that happen.
Absolutely.
So yeah, a lot of moving pieces, but anyway, so kind of off on a tangent right there. But all right, so if you are somebody new that's wanting to get into, you've been renting or been leasing, you're self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, and you're ready to make that move into buying a business or buying, a building for your business, what would you suggest you do? What are kind of the steps that they need to go through?
I think there are a couple of big steps. One is first go see a lender, go see a Darren Hunter. Go ahead and look and see, get your numbers in for the year to get your taxes done, and check and see is roughly is what you can afford. And then from there on is also then identify what are the critical elements that you need with the location, such as demographics of the community, as well as if you have certain needs, such as if it is like a AP3, where that you're going to have to need a certain type of usage for zoning, and identifying those up front. So then when you do start working with an agent, you can quickly let them know kind of what your needs are going to be, so they can identify and find those for you.
Right. And when somebody's putting an offer on there, are you seeing, like we've seen over the last several years, the massive offers, the huge competition on or for these particular properties, commercial properties?
Absolutely. I think you nailed it. I think the retail space has slowed down a little bit, and I think the office space has slowed down a little bit, depending on the type of office. Medical offices always continue to be hot, but you're exactly right. Industrial, multifamily, they're still very hot, and there's still multiple offers going out for those types of properties.
Right. What sort of advice can you give? Just overall knowledge on commercial real estate. What do you want people to know when they're talking with a real estate agent that deals with commercial or just commercial real estate as a whole? What can you tell everybody?
I think just be totally transparent about all of your business needs up front. It could be even something as simple as you want to really divest everything that happens on a day-to-day operation. It could be something as simple as if you're a business that needs to have a lift, the commercial realtor would need to know even how deep your floor needs to be, so you can put in a lift if it's an industrial property. So really kind of disclosing fully everything that your business is going to require on a day-to-day basis, so they can find exactly what you need for that. So
yeah, that's a great point, Matt. You think about when I deal with primarily residential lending, right? Residential mortgages for people that are buying house, investment homes, single family or primary residence, seconds, investments, etc. We talk about the needs that the family has, but you really need to, it's more in depth when you're talking about a business, especially if you're in the industrial side, because there are so many moving pieces within the business. Yeah, that's interesting. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Listen, I can't thank you enough. I want to thank you for having us over there the other day.
Thank you, guys.
Financing the American Dream is coming out here.
Awesome.
That episode will air in the beginning of October, so don't know the exact date yet, but we'll certainly be letting everybody know. It was an absolute pleasure. I had a great time. And if you don't know Mattie Weiss and you're in the downtown Woodstock area, I mean, just ask anybody. He's the man. Everybody knows him, and they'll know where to find him.
It's a pleasure.
All right. My name's Darren Hunter. This is
you.
Mattie Weiss, the Goodwin Group. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Great day.
Appreciate you.